3 years passed like a quiet drought. The farm grew stronger, but the distance to her family widened. Mai stood on her parents' marble patio, the city glittering below. Lynn's laughter carried through the air, bright and sharp like glass. "Another deal closed," Lynn announced, holding her champagne high. "8 figures this time. Some of us just don't stop growing." Mai smiled politely, her hands smelling faintly of soil and citrus. Her father adjusted his cufflinks, eyes resting on her worn shoes. "Still planting vegetables, sweetheart?" he asked with that old smirk. "Yes," Mai said. "We're testing drought-resistant crops now." He nodded once, a dismissal more than approval. "You could be doing real work in the city," he added softly. Hai stood beside her, calm as ever. "Our real work feeds people," he said, voice even but firm. Lynn's husband laughed. "Feeding people doesn't pay dividends." The table joined him, laughter rising like smoke. Mai felt the same familiar sting in her chest. Each word sliced, precise and practiced. Her mother touched her arm gently. "Your father only wants success." Success, that word again, always heavy, always sharp. Hai leaned close and whispered, "Breathe, don't give them the power." She breathed, but the air was thick with perfume and condescension. Later, when the sun sank behind the hills, Mai slipped to the balcony. The night smelled of exhaust and distant rain. She stared at the skyline and thought of rows of seedlings back home. Behind her, footsteps approached softly. It was Thao, the youngest sister, usually quiet, usually smiling. "Can we talk?" Thao whispered, glancing toward the party inside. Mai nodded. "What's wrong?" Thao hesitated, her fingers twisting the hem of her dress. "Promise you won't tell anyone I said this." "I promise." Thao took a breath. Lynn and her husband lost everything. Mai turned, stunned. "What do you mean?" "Investments, loans, even Dad's retirement fund. It's all tied up." The words hung between them, like thunder waiting to break. "They've been hiding it," Thao continued, "pretending everything's fine." Mai pressed a hand against the balcony rail, heart pounding. The Golden family empire was cracking. "They're terrified," Thao said quietly. "If Lynn falls, Dad falls too." Mai stared into the dark garden below, the air suddenly colder. It wasn't just pride anymore, it was survival. "Does Mom know?" she asked. Thao nodded. "She's scared, but she won't admit it." The sound of laughter drifted out again, hollow and brittle. Lynn's voice rang clear above the others, talking about market growth. Mai almost pitied her, almost. "She'll come to you soon," Thao warned. "For help." Mai said nothing. The earth beneath her seemed to shift. For years, they mocked her for touching dirt. Now the ground itself held her power. She looked back toward the lights, toward the people who once defined her. "They don't know what we've built," she said softly. Thao touched her hand. "Then don't let them take it." Mai nodded. Somewhere in the dark, she felt the season turning. The birthday party smelled of wine and wilted roses. Thao's house was smaller, quieter, stripped of its usual sparkle. Mai carried a tray of pastries to the kitchen, pretending calm. Lynn stood by the counter, her perfume sweet but fatting. "Can we talk?" Lynn said, her voice too soft, too careful. Mai nodded slowly, setting the tray down. Lynn took a deep breath, eyes glistening beneath perfect lashes. "Things have been complicated lately," she began. Mai waited. She already knew where this was going. "Some investments went sideways, just temporary issues," Lynn said. She tried to laugh, but it cracked in the middle. "We only need a little help. 500 million, maybe 6. Mai's fingers tightened around a napkin. "Help," she repeated, "from the people who play with dirt." Lynn's smile faltered. "Don't make this about pride." "It's about memory," Mai said quietly. Lynn looked away, her reflection trembling in the sink's metal surface. "We'll pay you back," she whispered, "once the market rebounds." Mai studied her sister, the perfect hair, the diamond ring slightly loose. "You told me once," she said, That real ambition wears heels. Lynn swallowed hard. Please, Mai, don't punish me for that. This isn't punishment, Mai replied. It's consequence. Silence stretched between them, heavy as rain. Lynn's voice rose, brittle with desperation. Do you think your little farm can save the world? No, Mai said, but it's saving us. The kitchen felt smaller, walls closing in with every breath. Lynn's eyes glistened. Dad's losing sleep over this. You could help. Mai almost laughed. He never lost sleep when he humiliated me. He believed in you, Lynn said weakly. No, Mai said. He believed in control. Outside, Thau's laughter drifted through the open door, light and distant. It felt like another world. Lynn's mask began to crack, voice trembling. They might lose the house, Mai, the cars, everything. Mai stared at the window, at the faint reflection of her own face. You built castles on credit, she said. Now you want to borrow the ground. Lynn's lips trembled. I didn't come here for judgment. Then you came to the wrong sister, Mai said softly. The silence was broken only by the hum of the refrigerator. Lynn turned, wiping her tears before they could fall. You'll regret this, she said, when we rise again. Mai didn't answer. She just reached for a towel, wiped the counter clean. The motion felt final, like drawing a line in the soil. When Lynn left, the door clicked shut with a quiet kind of defeat. Thao entered moments later, holding 2 cups of tea. She asked, didn't she? Mai nodded. She's drowning but still wearing pearls. Thao sighed. What will you do? Nothing, Mai said. We worked for what we have, they played. Thao smiled faintly, then let the harvest speak. Mai looked out the window, toward the distant hills. For the first time, she didn't feel small. The world that once pitied her was crumbling. And the soil beneath her feet had never felt so strong. Rain tapped softly against the window. Mai sat at the kitchen table, papers spread like fallen leaves. Hai flipped through a folder, his brow calm, his eyes steady. There's something I should have told you earlier, he said. Mai looked up, half curious, half afraid. Hai placed a sealed envelope in front of her. She opened it, breath catching at the university crest. Stanford. Her name blurred for a moment as she read the words beneath it. Doctorate in agricultural engineering. Her voice trembled. You said you studied in Hanoi. I did, Hai replied. Before the fellowship, before the patents. He slid another document forward, thick with diagrams and signatures. Thao Nguyen Greentech, she read aloud. Our company, he said, registered 6 years ago. Mai stared at the numbers, investors, grants, valuation. $1 billion D/1ED3NG, maybe more. You built all this. She whispered, and never said a word. Hai smiled faintly. You believed in the dream, not the title, that's why. Mai felt the weight of years, mockery, doubt, dismissal, shift inside her. They think we're just farmers, she murmured. Let them, Hai said. It's better when they underestimate us. She reached across the table, touching his hand. What happens now? He exhaled slowly. Now we protect what's ours. Outside, thunder rolled like a warning. The farm, silent under the rain, seemed to listen. Mai gathered the papers into neat stacks. Do they know, she asked. Your family, mine. Not yet, he said, but Thao warned us they're desperate. Her phone buzzed with a message. From Thao, Dad, been asking about your property deed. Mai's pulse quickened. He's planning something. He's a businessman, Hai said. He smells opportunity and weakness. But we're not weak, she said. No, he replied. We're the strongest we've ever been. He stood, moving to the window, rain streaking across his reflection. They'll come for the land, he said. Maybe for us too. Mai felt her stomach twist, fear and resolve mixing like oil and fire. We'll be ready, she said. The next morning, they began preparing. Financial reports printed, patent files copied. Every contract and license sealed in waterproof folders. They called their lawyer, confirming protection clauses. Mai reached out to neighboring farmers, renewing quiet alliances. By afternoon, the house was a fortress of paper and faith. They'll try to corner us emotionally, Hai said. Use guilt, use family. Mai nodded, then we'll answer with facts. He smiled. That's my girl. As the sun broke through the clouds, light filled the room. The air smelled of earth and electricity. Mai glanced at the fields outside, the rows of grain glistening like armor. Her father once called this place mud. Now it was their weapon. She turned back to Hai. Let them come, she said. Hai nodded, eyes fierce and calm. They're bringing words, he said. We're bringing proof. And as night fell, the storm cleared, leaving the farm glowing under stars. The real battle, Mai knew, would begin at dawn. The gravel crunched beneath the tires. Mai looked out the window and saw 3 black cars pull in. Her pulse thudded once, steady and cold. They're early, Hai said, drying his hands on a towel. Mai nodded. Let's finish this. The knock came sharp, confident, like a salesman's pitch. When she opened the door, her father was already smiling. Morning, sweetheart, he said. We brought some friends. Behind him stood Lin, her husband, and 3 strangers in suits. Mr. Fan from Horizon Investments, her father said proudly. A rare opportunity. Hai's jaw tightened. We weren't expecting visitors. Lin brushed past him, scanning the room. Still so rustic, she said, forcing a laugh. Mr. Fan stepped forward, clipboard in hand. Beautiful property, he said. Perfect elevation, good access, high value. He laid papers on the table like cards in a game. We're offering $1.5 billion, he said. Cash, immediate transfer. Mai stared at the neat lines of text. So generous, she said softly, almost rehearsed. Her father chuckled. Don't make this difficult, Mai. It's a fair deal. Hai spoke before she could. This land isn't for sale. Lin rolled her eyes. You're being emotional again. It's not emotion, Mai said. It's ownership. Her father's voice hardened. You're turning down a fortune for dirt. Hai smiled faintly. This dirt funds national research. The room fell quiet. Mr. Fan blinked, uncertain. Research. Hai nodded. Climate-adaptive farming, federal contracts, ongoing studies. Lin laughed, sharp and brittle. You're bluffing. Mai walked to a cabinet and pulled out a folder. She placed it beside the offer. Patents, university seals, signed agreements. Mr. Fan adjusted his tie, reading fast, then slower. Her father's color drained. You're joking. No, Mai said. You just never listened. Lin's husband leaned forward, desperation cracking his voice. Think carefully. This sale helps the whole family. Mai met his gaze. At our expense. Hai opened the front door. You've seen what you came to see. Her father slammed a palm against the table. You're making a mistake. No, Mai said. I'm correcting one. The wind outside whistled through the open doorway. The suits gathered their papers, mumbling excuses. Lin stood frozen, fury and shame fighting in her eyes. Her husband whispered, We'll be back. Mai smiled slightly. So will the truth. As they stepped out, her mother's car appeared, dust rising behind it. She rushed in, clutching her pearls. You refused to save us. Mai looked at her gently. I saved myself. Her father turned once at the threshold, voice low and cold. You've betrayed this family. Mai lifted her chin. Then maybe family needs a new meaning. The door closed, soft but final. Silence filled the kitchen, vast and clean. Hai exhaled slowly, shoulders easing. They'll try again, he said. Mai nodded, and we'll be ready again. Through the window, sunlight broke across the fields. The crops shimmered, gold over the soil they once called worthless. Mai touched the glass, eyes steady. Let them bring money, she whispered. We have value. The convoy arrived at noon under a pale sun. Mai stood by the window, watching dust rise on the road. Cars lined the field like an invasion. Her father stepped out first, followed by Lynn and her husband. Behind them came the pastor, a therapist, and half the neighborhood. They brought witnesses, Hai said quietly. Mai's hands stayed steady on the table. Let them watch. Outside, chairs were being unfolded in a semicircle. The pastor held a Bible. The therapist clutched a folder. Her father raised his voice. We're here because we love you. Mai opened the door, then start by listening. He ignored the words. You're refusing reason. You've lost perspective. Lynn sniffed dramatically. She's obsessed. She thinks the soil talks. A few neighbors murmured in agreement. The therapist stepped forward. Attachment to property can mask trauma. Mai almost laughed, and greed can wear a suit. The pastor frowned. Honor your father and mother, child. My honor isn't obedience, Mai said. Her mother's eyes shimmered with panic. Please, don't embarrass us again. Hai stepped beside Mai, his tablet in hand. May I show you something, he said calmly. Her father scowled. This is not the time for your gadgets. It's exactly the time, Hai said, activating the screen. A document glowed under the afternoon light. My doctorate, he said. Stanford University, Agricultural Engineering. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Next slide, pat numbers, research diagrams. These systems are used in 5 provinces already, Hai continued. And this, he said, pulling another file, is a government grant. $3.5 million for drought-adaptive crops. The murmurs grew louder, disbelief turning into awe. The pastor lowered his Bible, confusion clouding his face. The therapist cleared her throat. I was told they were in distress. You were told a story, Mai said, but not the truth. Her father tried to recover, voice rising. You forged these. Mrs. Land from next door spoke up. My cousin works at the ministry. It's real. Lynn's mask shattered. So what? You still let us drown. Mai turned toward her. You built your life on paper. We built ours in soil. Her father's tone shifted to pleading. Think of the family name. I have, Mai said, and I'm done carrying it alone. The therapist backed away slowly, embarrassed. The pastor closed his Bible and nodded once. Perhaps this meeting was premature, he said. Neighbors exchanged glances, shame replacing curiosity. One by one, they left, avoiding eye contact. Hai placed the tablet on the table and exhaled. The yard emptied, except for the family. Her father's voice broke. After all we gave you. Mai looked at him gently. You gave me lessons, not love. Lynn's husband muttered something about investors and walked off. Her mother trembled, whispering, What happens to us now? Mai's voice softened. You'll adapt just like the land. Thao appeared from her car, walking to stand beside Mai. I warned you, she said to their parents. They're stronger than you think. Her father turned away, pride finally hollow. As the last car rolled down the path, the silence deepened. Hai slipped his arm around Mai's shoulder. It's over, he said. Mai shook her head. No, it's beginning. The wind stirred the fields, whispering through the golden stems. Every root beneath, the soil seemed to hum with quiet victory. The morning after felt lighter, as if the air itself forgave them. Mai poured coffee while the fields glowed outside. A government car rolled into the driveway, wheels crunching softly. A woman stepped out, briefcase in hand, dressed in forest green. Mrs. Tran, Mr. Tran, she said, shaking their hands firmly. I'm from the Ministry of Agriculture. I came to finalize your grant. Mai exchanged a glance with Hai, heart thudding once. They sat at the old oak table, the same one used for every battle. The woman opened her folder. $3.5 million in full funding, she said. 4-year term. Mai pressed her palm to the paper, almost afraid it might vanish. Your work will lead the National Drought Resistance Initiative, the woman added. Outside, a neighbor's tractor hummed past. The sound felt like applause. By noon, word had spread through the valley. Farmers came bearing gifts, jars of honey, baskets of fruit, warm smiles. "You did it," said Mr. Bin, their closest neighbor. "You proved them wrong." Mice smiled. "We didn't prove them wrong, we proved the land right." Hai laughed softly, his hand brushing hers. Evening brought more visitors, friends, not skeptics. They ate under the porch lights, the same place where insults once fell. Now, laughter grew like vines. Later, Thao arrived, suitcase in hand, eyes tired but sure. "I quit," she said simply. "I'm done defending lies." Mai hugged her tight. "Then help us build truth." Thao laughed through tears. "You have space for a lawyer." Hai nodded. "We always needed one." The three of them sat watching the horizon burn gold. Days turned into months. New greenhouses rose beside the barns, glass catching winter sunlight. Students came from the university, notebooks eager, eyes bright. Mai walked them through the research plots. "The soil sensors adjust nutrients in real time," she explained. They listened, as if she were reading from scripture. Hai joined her near the irrigation system, calm and certain. "Less water, stronger roots," he said. "Balance is everything." Thao managed contracts, her sharp mind turning protection into growth. The project thrived, spreading beyond their fences. One morning, a letter arrived from Singapore. It was from Lynn. The handwriting was careful, strained. She wrote of a small apartment, of starting over, of shame. At the end, a single line: "I hope you're happy now." Mai folded the paper quietly. "Yes," she whispered, "finally." That evening, they hosted a harvest dinner for the farmers. Lanterns glowed, laughter rose, children chased fireflies in the dusk. Hai raised his glass, "To the land that remembers who we are." Mai looked across the fields, gold stretching into forever. "This is home," she said softly. Thao nodded beside her, "And this time, no one can take it." The wind carried the scent of ripe wheat, of endings and beginnings. The soil that once mocked her hands now held her legacy. Not mud, not failure. Gold, born from the ground, shining beneath her feet. The sun sank low, painting the fields in copper light. Mai stood on the porch, the wind soft against her hair. Behind her, laughter drifted from the dinner table. Hai stacked dishes, humming the tune they once danced to. Thao worked by the window, reviewing new partnership drafts. The world had changed, but the soil remained the same. Every scar, every doubt had rooted into something strong. Mai watched the wheat shimmer like a sea of fire. Her phone buzzed with a message from Lynn. "Visited the market today. Started selling plants. It feels good." Mai smiled faintly, typing only one word back: "Grow." She placed the phone aside and breathed deeply. The land smelled of rain, of promise, of everything earned. Hai joined her, his arm wrapping around her shoulders. "Remember what your father said?" he asked quietly. Mai nodded. "He called it dirt." Hai smiled. He was half right. She looked at the horizon, golden and endless. "It was dirt," she said, "until we learned how to make it live." Together they watched the final light fade. The ground beneath them whispered softly. Not mud, not burden. Home.